Now before we get going, I want to clear up just one thing, and this is for anybody that might have the idea that that was actually me dancing in my driveway with this mellow head right here. But the truth of the matter is this, that I'm gonna pull a 1999 Shaggy, and I'm gonna say it wasn't me. Even though he got me on camera, it definitely wasn't me. Because the truth is this, I may have some building skills, but I definitely don't have any dance skills. And now with that, let's go back in time about a week, and let me show you how I made this. So this mellow head is probably one of the first projects I've ever done that makes me a little bit nervous. Let me explain. Not nervous in the sense that I think something bad's gonna happen. I don't think anybody's gonna get hurt or go to jail, but a little nervous in the sense that I don't have a very good start to finish plan. Most of the time when I come up with a project, it'll start in my head, and I'll make a couple drawings, and I'll have a good idea of what I need to finish it. Normally I'll make something out of wood or metal, so it'll be joined or it'll be welded, and I've been working with both those materials for years, so I kind of know my way around them. But this is different. This mellow head is electronic. It's going to be made of thermoformed plastic, and those are two materials that I've never really incorporated into builds before. So I'm asking that everyone bears with me a little bit, because it's going to be sort of trial and error. I think it'll still come out good. I mean, I have a pretty good sense of the major pieces, but there are definitely still a few things that I'm a little nervous about that I just can't quite get my head around, how one piece joins to another or how to seam something, just stuff like that. So bear with me. I think it'll still come out really well. But yeah, I'm hoping that on this build, I learn just as much as anyone watching it. All right. You know, I know I said I don't totally know what I'm doing here, and that still rings true, but I've thought about it a little bit, and I've come up with a plan, and here it goes. It starts with a concrete form tube. It's 10 inches in diameter. Around this, I'm going to wrap computer-controlled LED set. Topping this is going to be a circle of 1/2 inch white, even though it's black here, semi-transparent acrylic, and then outside of this is going to be a sheet of thermoformed semi-transparent acrylic white. The number one thing that concerns me is, one, attaching it up here is easy. It's going to be a bunch of areas that are kind of hidden. Attaching it down here, I'm still lost on how to do that. Another thing that worries me is how to actually make the mellow eyes. What do they look like? Something like this. This is going to be awful, but everyone gets the idea. How do I make this design on plastic? I know I could just print it out and trace it and then cut it out, and that very well might be what I end up doing. I kind of hope I come up with a better idea, because that just sounds like a lot of room for error. If I still had my CNC machine, this would be a lot easier, but unfortunately I disassembled that. So here's the basic idea, and here's what I'm shooting for. Here at Lowe's, and they are, as expected, disappointing. 8-inch tube, 12-inch tube, a chart showing a 10-inch tube, but no such thing in stock, so it's off to Home Depot as per usual. Home Depot is coming through for me. I found that using a table saw was the easiest and straightest way to cut the concrete form tube. However, not everyone will have a table saw, so I would think a jigsaw or even a keyhole saw would work just as well if you took your time here. The table saw also makes an excellent circle cutting tool. What you end up doing is drilling a hole in the center of your piece and then cutting off increasingly smaller straight pieces until you have something that's semi-round and you can spin freely on the pivot point, making a perfectly round circle. Although this could also be accomplished with a router and a circle jig. Without unclipping the pin, I'm now going to put stock for the bottom thicker piece on and repeat the process. In order to rough cut the side material, I'm first going to square my fence to my table saw. It's pretty important here that this cut be absolutely straight. So what I'm going to do is actually cut both pieces at the same time to make sure they're exactly the same width. Sit rep is this. I was able to cut out some circles. It's going to be inside the tube. That's going to be the top of the head. This is actually white acrylic. You can't really see it because it's covered by this, I don't know, protective film, but this is white, believe it or not. Cut the concrete form tube. This is going to be the inside of the mellow. Downloaded this template from a blog, and I'm going to go ahead and try and find that blog. I'm going to put a link to it right here. I can't remember what it's called now, but I should give them some credit because they made it and I'm using it. Also, I've got this. This is perforated PVC. This is going to make the eyes and the mouth. This is going to be the hardest part of this entire build because I have to somehow transfer this onto this and cut it out. Actually, this isn't going to be that hard because I can I oversize this so I can be a little sloppy with this. I have to transfer this onto the acrylic and then I have to pretty much exactly cut it out. I'm probably going to use a spiral saw. I don't know. You know what, you guys, you might be about to see a complete failure. If I was betting, that's what I would say. So while I would have preferred to use a spiral cut saw because of the smaller diameter of the bit, I ended up using a trim router with a 1/4 inch straight bit only because my spiral saw was at my dad's house.
I'm speaking into a microphone which is cleverly concealed. I'm speaking into a microphone which is cleverly concealed in a very convincing false beard. And tennis shoes.
Side note right here, because of the dark marker against the dark plastic, it was very hard to see my outline, so I ended up using a headlamp and illuminating my work surface that way. All right now, what I'm doing is I'm straddling the line between practical and stupid. I've preheated my oven to 200 degrees. I'm gonna use a little extra concrete form tube I have to actually use as a form to mold my plastic. So things look pretty good on the first try. Check that out. Now that big piece is in there. And thanks. Hopefully that goes as well as the first one. Oh, look how sad it looks. Doesn't that look like a sad little mellow head? Hold on. Looks, it's so droopy. So unfortunately, I didn't remember to film any part of me gluing all the pieces together, but you're not missing much because it wasn't that interesting. I used acrylic solvent, and that's about that. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a circle cutting jig on my router, and I'm going to center out the bottom portion so the inner tube with the LED lights can actually slide inside. After getting everything together, I noticed that both the eyes weren't exactly level, so I'm going to use my combination square here, and I'm going to mark the bottom of each, and I'm going to make them level. This right here is not a bag of cocaine. This bag right here is a bunch of white acrylic flakes that I made on my table saw into my shop vac. And it illustrates where I'm at with the mellow head, day 2. Oh, plastic is a very unforgiving material. Look at it, here we are. It's coming together. You know, when you're on camera here, you can't really see it, but there's all these seams like there, and up top, and at the bottom. That just shouldn't be there. And the reason I have my little bag of acrylic flakes that look like a bag of Coke is I'm going to use this kind of old school woodworking trick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these white acrylic flakes that are made out of the same stock as this, and I'm going to mix it with some acrylic solvent, and I'm going to hopefully make a little putty that I can fill in these little cracks and then polish out. And that's where we're at, so sit rep, day 2. situation report day 3. My plan to go ahead and use a combination of solvent and acrylic shavings was a complete failure. Like, it couldn't have gone worse. What I was left with, you can't even see it in here, is this weird milky white stuff that's not even that hard. It's a little bit kind of gooey too. So I'm going to change my plan here, and I'm going to start with something I should have just started. Here's the deal, like, the whole reason I'm just going to use Bondo, by the way. That's totally what I'm getting at. But the reason I didn't want to use it at first is because I wanted to maintain this nice, smooth acrylic exterior, and I didn't want to have to paint it. But I'm just going to do it. It's kind of a relief. It's kind of like, once you've accepted that's how it's not going to work out, then it actually becomes easier, because then you get a little more flexibility with kind of how you can shape it and cut it. So I'm going to sand this down. I'm actually going to refill it. I'm going to use Bondo, because I know that sticks to acrylic and gets hard as crap. And that way I'll just end up just kind of spraying the outside. So it's not exactly how I originally wanted to do it, but it's what I'm going to end up doing. I want to pause it here real quick and just kind of tell you what I'm doing with my trim router. I'm using a 1/4 inch bit, and I'm giving the edge a slightly rounded over profile, because if we take a look here, you can see that the real mellow head isn't a sharp 90 degrees at the top. Now that I've applied the Bondo and sanded the entire helmet down to 220 grit, I'm going to take it outside and spray it with Rust-Oleum Universal. It works great on plastics and hardens pretty quickly. While the outer shell is curing, I'm going to start working on the inner core. I spaced out 10 lines 1 inch apart, and I'm using my combination square to mark out a grid that I'm going to lay the LED lines against. You know, it's like every weekend for me now just starts with a plan and usually ends with disappointment. And it's usually not for lack of trying. It's that I always have these ideas of everything I want to get done, and by Sunday night they never get done. So in the case of my mellow head, I thought this was going to be done like last weekend, and here we are another week, and I'm still working on it. But check it out. This is where I'm at. I got this inner core part that this is going to have the lights wrapped around it. I got a 22 gauge hookup kit from Amazon Warehouse Deals, and I'm going to do 10 rows spaced 1 inch apart, since 10 times pi divided by whatever many inches these two things are works out to about 10 rows. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So, side note, there's one thing I wanted to talk about, and it's been bothering me for like a week, and it's the problem with the battery pack. It's a problem. It's a dilemma. It's not a problem. It's a dilemma. So my mellow head already kind of weighs a lot. I mean, the plastic on the outside, the wood top, this with some electronics in it. It doesn't weigh a lot like if you were carrying it around, but it kind of weighs a lot to have on your head. So here's my dilemma. What do I do with this battery pack? I don't know. For the clean look, I think I should just mount it inside. But for the sake of who's ever wearing this thing in their neck, I'm thinking I should just have a small power cord coming out the back, and you could like keep this in your pocket or wherever else you want to keep it. I don't know. It's my dilemma. You know, it's kind of why it's nice building things, because you get to kind of make these calls yourself. I'd imagine anyone else who tries to make something like this might come up with a different answer, but right now I'm leaning towards a power cord out the back. But I'll tell you what, while I'm thinking about it, I might be leaning the other direction now, because it might be easy for a guy to run a cord and just throw this in a pocket or something. But what if a woman was wearing this? Usually you're probably going to be out, might have a dress on. There's not really going to be a pocket to put a power. I don't know. Hold on. Here's what this weighs. 6 ounces. That's not that much, right? 6 ounces extra in here. What's also kind of annoying is it would be like off to one side. Wouldn't be just like kind of centered. That would be ideal if it was centered. I don't know. I'm gonna get going on soldering this up. Oh yeah, so that's the plan right now, by the way. I'm gonna, this LED light strip I bought, it comes with a self-adhesive back, and I'm gonna just kind of wrap each row around here, and then when it gets to the next one, I'm gonna kind of cut it and then just solder it to the next row down. Yeah, that's how it's happening. All right, I got it. I'm gonna mount it. I'm mounting the battery pack outside the helmet. You know why? Too often when we're building things, we get caught up on hypotheticals and we think, I have to build something that works in all scenarios. I have to build something that anyone could use. I have to build something that is like the Swiss Army knife of everything, and you don't. So there's 3 groups of people, right? 3. There's guys who are going to have pockets no matter what. There's women with pockets, and there's women without pockets. Now, if a woman without pockets wanted to use this, you could just use it without the lights, just like Mello is most of the time anyway. So that's it. I'm doing it without the battery pack inside the helmet.
Rust, death, and failure haunt my every breath and step, and yet I live and write while corrosion bites.
And that's what makes us who we are. We are all searching for that one moment when the music captures our soul. We live for the music. We die for our music. And that's what makes us.
Alright, I'm coming to you all Blair Witch style now to illustrate a problem. Hey, check out my Mello, you can see it right here. Here's the problem that I discovered last night right before I went to bed, and it was bothering me like for a while. Let me show you. Look at this, right? But there's a problem. See right here? Look where I put the Bondo. Let me get it even closer. Why is it like at night I feel like I have to whisper? Look at this. You can totally see these Bondo lines. It's even worse over here. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take out this inner core, and I'm gonna totally black that out. I'm gonna totally black that out too, because honestly feel like nothing there would look better than this weird line here. I'm just gonna totally black that out. In order to keep the mellow on your head, I'm using an old construction helmet, and then I'm cutting it down on my bandsaw and then leveling it out. This is gonna be a lot more secure than some type of ball cap.
We are all searching for that one moment when the music captures our soul. We live for the music. We die for our music. And that's what makes us who we are. We are all searching for that one moment when the music captures our soul. We live for the music.
Here it is, another weekend and another project wrapping up. Mellowhead's done. I got to put it together. Let me run through everything I did one more time. Just if you want to skip to the end of the video and read this, yeah, whatever. I'm tired. So I got the inner core, which looks like something out of a horror movie. It consists of a concrete form tube with a bunch of LED lights wound around it and soldered. You might be thinking, why did you do this, Aaron? There's a reason. Because with this tight spacing in here, I need to be able to do this and make the diameter smaller before I can slide it down in there. So yeah, you saw me kind of working on getting everything soldered up last night. That seriously took, I shit you not, 5 hours. Here's the Mellowhead in its unlit glory. Like we talked about earlier, I went and blacked out those areas that I thought didn't look good. Now that's it. I'm gonna put it together. But first, actually, I'm gonna put a towel down here so this diamond plate doesn't scratch this thing up. Oh, real quick, let me show you one thing. Exactly how I'm attaching things down here. Down here, off camera, I actually, I drilled and then I did some brass thread inserts. I always like thread inserts quite a bit just because they're really easy to maneuver and pick up where you left off and disassemble and whatnot. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. Not like I'm just hand screwing into wood. All right, everybody, that's how you make a mellow. Links to all the products I used are down in the description. Hopefully you found it somewhat useful. If you didn't, give me a big thumbs down. If you liked it, big thumbs up. Both are appreciated. And we'll see you next time on my vlog / how-to channel / I don't even know what you call it, but thanks for watching.